At Cinema Recall, we want to present to you the finest in film analysis.
Yeah, like action and gore and sex.
We will look at classics by Kubrick, Lynch, Godard, De Palma, and Coppola.
I don't know who the that is, but I'm looking at classic bodies of Christina Hendricks, Keanu Reeves, Salma Hayek, Ryan Reynolds.
We are a serious show for film lovers who enjoy indie foreign films, art house gems, and classic black and white features.
Well, I enjoy big budget blockbusters with great action and sexy people. Maybe our podcast can celebrate all aspects of films, like people who feel like your weird way and like people who feel like my weird way can like get together, man.
They can?
Yeah.
Huh. I like that.
Cinema Recall is available everywhere you find great podcasts. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram under Cinema Recall Podcast and on Twitter at cinema_recall.
Charts, sextant, logbook, daily sailing orders, main steering gear. How do you like my chair, Marshall? Ideal for long trips.
Did you say your chair?
Yes. You'll get one when you're a captain. In the meantime, this is my ship and I am the captain. Would you like to steer her? All of my previous passengers like to do that. They like to pretend to be a captain, like you. But it's not so easy. Try it. My last ship from me. You won't get this one.
I didn't take your ship from you. The company took it from you. And you know why? Because you can't deal with people. You don't know how to handle a crew or passengers.
Maybe so, Marshall. But I know how to handle ships. Engine room! Full ahead! Captain never leaves his post, even a pretend captain like you, Marshall.
Ashland, you're sick. I'm taking command of this ship.
You can't. No one can take this ship away from me.
What do you plan to sail her?
Eternity, Marshall. Eternity.
This is the emergency podcast system. This is not a test. Movies are bombing all over the country. They are posing as movies you already know. They may already be in your theaters, your neighbor's home, or even your own. Do not panic. Specialists have been dispatched. They will help you identify these pretenders and defend you against this invasion of the remake. Please stand by for further instructions.
Welcome to the Invasion of the Remake podcast. I am your host, Jason Bishop, and with me today, as always, is Sam Stepanenko.
I'm so glad I don't live on a cruise ship anymore.
I bet. And coming in from Planet Vulcan, Trish Coughlin.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Captain. Hello, First Mate.
Hello. We're going to be talking about Death Ship today from 1980. And we're going to be attempting to remake it. I think this is one of those ones where it's like, oh, what a neat idea. Too bad it sucks.
Too bad it... Well, I don't know if it sucks. It's just they didn't do enough with it.
No, I didn't think so. But, fairly limited at the time. They would have been going into production in 1979.
Yeah.
So pretty limited in the ideas of what they wanted to do before anybody comes at me. No, Ghost Ship from 2002 is not a remake of this. I don't care what IMDb says. You can have more than one haunted ship.
Yes. Yeah.
Although, great opening.
Great opening. And certainly you can acknowledge it might have been inspired by, but it's definitely a different movie.
Yeah, different movie. Although, very similar posters.
Very similar posters.
I will say, remake of the poster.
Yeah. Unquestionably.
Oh, yeah. It confused me, actually, when you said Death Ship and I saw it. I at first did have that confusion because I've seen Ghost Ship a few times. And it's a dumb movie, but I like it.
Yeah. Had you guys seen this before? I hadn't. I'd seen Ghost Ship a few times, but I hadn't seen Death Ship at all.
Death Ship's one of those ones I was always kind of aware of and have never seen before. And actually, I was done. When I was done, I messaged Valerie and went, I now know why I've never seen Death Ship before.
This was an interesting film. Like, I liked the idea behind it, but I felt like it was kind of flat and not very good in its ideas of execution. But you've got this cranky old captain on a cruise ship who's being forcibly retired. And that kind of leads to a possession of him later on when they wind up on the Death Ship.
Yes. I think the biggest issue is they kind of try to tell you what the ship is and what happened there, but they don't do a very good job of it.
No.
Right? Like the ship itself should have more personality.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when you got a World War II freighter, a Kriegsmarine prison ship, it's got all this history from World War II being a torture vessel.
Yeah. And it really was. The ship was actually one of those ships.
Yeah. But they don't tell you till very late in the movie, and it's kind of confusing.
Well, the fact that they killed off the only person who understood German made it really hard for them to sort of tell that story. There should be some discovery about what the ship was throughout the film.
Yeah.
And it isn't there.
Yes.
Well, and I felt right away at the beginning of the film where you've got the ship ramming this cruise vessel, this cruise ship, and it was a little bit of chaos, stolen from another movie, I might add. All that chaos that was happening from the ship was from Last Voyage from 1960. So cheaply made.
Well, it is a Canadian co-production, so that does not surprise me.
No, I suppose not.
I was watching that, and the whole sinking of the vessel is really quick, and I'm like, wow, Titanic would be a way different movie if they did it at this pace.
Yes.
Yes. But I felt like we needed to see more of that survival before escaping the boat and then escaping onto the death ship. And the fact that nobody saw what hit them.
Nobody saw what hit them. And the fact that there are only 9 survivors.
Yeah. The only 9 that are introduced to us, because who gives a shit about everybody else?
Yes. The other 1,000 or so passengers that are on the ship, passengers and crew that are probably on the ship.
Yeah. I mean, you got that one Lori banging one of the crew. And I would have had like one of them dead. Because you've seen those two together in a scene, so you have a shocking moment of having introduced some characters who aren't going to make it off the ship.
I kind of agree with that. And the fact that would never happen the way it did in the movie.
No.
Because, again, having lived on a cruise ship, that is a huge no-no. Crew or
fraternizing
with passengers, yeah, it's a huge
no-no. Well, it was the late 70s, early 80s. Maybe it was a different time. There's a bit of...
That's entirely possible, for sure.
It's not like they didn't do it on the cruise ship. It's just it was a big no-no. Don't get your ass caught.
Yes, exactly.
It shouldn't have been overt.
Yeah, you get dropped at the next port if you get caught doing it.
Oh, wow.
It should have been secret.
Yeah, so you better have your passport with you.
Well, if you're a crew member, they hold your passport until you debark for the last time. That's what they do. They hand you your passport and your bags and say, "Have fun getting home."
Oh, wow.
Like that's how serious it is.
Yeah.
They debark you next port and there's no support. It's like you're on your own now. You fucked up.
Oof.
Yep.
That's harsh. Yeah.
Yep. But
I was thinking with this movie too, there was one bit that kind of bothered me. And I mean, Sam, you've been on ships, so you know probably a bit more. But they don't seem to react as I think they should to all these strange things just happening like immediately on the ship. Things working on their own. Things that couldn't possibly just be accidents or things just shifting.
Yeah, the ship I was on was very different than that. So, but yeah, you'd think that there'd be more sort of what the fuck is going on kind of responses, particularly that opening's the first death there with the cruise director, where, I mean, just mysteriously everything starts working and he's all of a sudden being doused.
Yeah, Jackie gets thrown off the ship.
Yeah, exactly. Did either of you notice that the first character to die on the ship happened also to be the most overtly Jewish character?
You know, and that makes sense being on a Nazi ship. Yeah. I didn't piece it together right away, but it did make sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it'd be so offended by
the presence of a Jewish character or a Jewish person on their ship. Yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, I guess I got to give the film a little bit credit with some of its subtleties.
There are some subtleties there for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one sort of jumped out at me as I'm watching it and realizing that it's a Nazi ship. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I get that. I see what they were doing there.
Yeah.
Right. And even the dunking is almost like a baptism, right? Right? Because it dunked him first and then lifted him up and then dropped him onto the ship deck.
Yeah.
So I think.
See, I was thinking waterboarding.
Yeah, no, and that's what I was first thinking as well. Is there's going to drown him, or it was like a waterboarding kind of thing. And then I'm like, wait a minute. There's that correlation between the dunking in the water and baptism, and his character being clearly a Jewish character.
Mm-hmm. Interesting, because you know this,
or maybe I'm reading something into it.
But. No, I mean, all that kind of makes sense, and maybe on the page it was kind of there, and it was just vaguer on screen, but yeah, I dig that assessment. In my mind, I kind of wanted to reinvent this and take the Nazi stuff out of it, but there are those kind of moments that would have to be addressed.
Yes, yeah, because that's a pretty important moment if you pick up on it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and that was, I think, the biggest challenge I was seeing when we were talking about remaking this is, well, do we want to carry through with that Nazi theme? I mean, Jeff Omega would have been all over this.
Yes, Nazis are always the best villains to use, and I can't argue with it. But I mean, if you want to make it a little more relatable, like I think horror works best when there is some sort of theme to it, and if you use like piracy and human trafficking as your kind of theme for this ship, I think it will be just as effective. But then those kind of subtleties of the ship might go out the window, or you'd have to shift it to whatever region your backstory of the ship comes from.
Well,
yeah, because there are a few moments like that. Go ahead, Trish.
I guess my first question was, and this was something that I was struggling with, was, are we going to make it current? At which point I was thinking, oh my God, you could have like this electronic kind of self-driving ship and it wouldn't seem as odd things were working on their own. Or if we leave it back in the past, like, because Nazis, like late 70s, early 80s, they were still pretty relevant. I mean, they still are relevant now, let's be honest. But where we set it, I think also kind of will tell us what the evil force would be, right?
I think that's part of it too. And I mean, I like the idea of this ship that's been autonomously roaming the seas for 40 years. Right, I think that regardless of whether or not it be an old Nazi torture ship or an Iraqi one or whatever, an ISIS one, right? I mean, you could use that kind of modern villain, as it were, to replace the Nazis. But just the idea of something that's been floating around for that long.
Yeah, I think whatever your backstory has to be about, 30, 40, 50 years prior to wherever we're setting. And I think it might as well be modern day. The death ship itself should have some history behind it, and we should know what it was. And, there's a lot of innocent souls that would have died on this ship.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have just said, hey, there's the blood of the victims. But, what caused the Nazis to die off on the ship and for it to roam? Was there a rebellion? There's this whole other plot hole that's like,
yeah, what happened to those who were on the ship?
Yeah.
Well, it was when that one lady takes those candies and then she turns into a monster. I thought it was like some sort of infection.
Well, I don't know why she would have reached into a candy jar that was 50, sitting there for 40, 50 years, and what she was expecting.
Well, it's hard candies. I mean, I know. I think we've established firmly at like the horror club when I reached right to get that lollipop. I would not do that. I would do that as well.
She was the oldest character, and old people like their hard candy.
Yep.
That was actually a scene that didn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
No, it felt like they had this sort of framework of an idea. And like all of the deaths felt like, okay, well, we're just going to do a death here. We want to do this. It doesn't have to make sense within our framework. We're just going to do this. Right? I mean, even the Nick character, his demise felt, I mean, the fact that it was foreshadowed and he had a vision of it still didn't really fit the rest of the story. I mean, he fell into a hold and then he was dead.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, that was a case where the ship tried to get him a couple of times.
Yeah. Yeah. It did. But
I mean, he was in a room with Marshall, with Trevor, and then suddenly elsewhere.
Yeah.
And then falling into this fishing hole and then crushed to death.
Yeah.
It was a fishing hole, but I think it was that they disposed of like bodies down there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there were bodies in there, but
looked like fish.
But again, it just, all of the deaths were anticlimactic to me. Like all of them.
Well, and even the ship turning on the captain feels anticlimactic. He's like, okay, grab the kids, put them in this room, or grab the wife, put her in this room, hold her hostage. But the wife could actually use locks.
Yeah.
And just gets out like right away.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, what was the point of all this?
I watched that a couple of times because I couldn't figure out. I'm like, she's banging on the door and help, and then she gets out, and I couldn't see anywhere where it showed me what happened.
Yeah, no, it's just sort of jumped, like he's hollering her name, and then she just sort of pops out of the door. Peekaboo, here I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no sense of threat or anything in that moment at all, because it was undone really quickly.
And I didn't see the reason why the ship turned on the captain, unless it was just pissed off that all of its little victims ran away.
See, that's what I was implying.
Well,
I think it needs to be.
I think part of it, too, is the captain turned on the ship first, right? Because everybody got away and he kind of went off the rails, started shooting things and like breaking the ship. And the ship's like, well, no. That's not how this works, right?
Yeah, he was shooting at the ship and broke.
But he started shooting when it wouldn't. The ship actually turned on him before that. It wasn't doing what he wanted it to, so the ship had already turned on him, and that's when he started shooting everything.
Well, it didn't turn on him so much as stopped listening to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, he considered that to be a betrayal because he'd already been betrayed before.
Well, yeah, and as the captain, he had this sort of power trip that they established very early on in the movie that he is a control freak. Everything has to be exactly the way he wants it, otherwise there's hell to pay. And I was glad that played through. It showed at the end that he still didn't understand that he's not always in control and that he can't control this ship because the ship is an entity in and of itself.
Yeah, which did make me wonder if he had a mental break or if he was being possessed or maybe somewhere in between.
Or, a combination of both, yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, let's run the trailer for Death Ship 1980, and we'll be right back.
Death Ship. It came out of the night. Searching.
Signal him to all the course. We have, sir. Well, signal him again, damn it.
Striking, bringing terror in its wake. Killing all but a few, saving them for the hell. Aboard the Death Ship.
This old ship seems to have a life of its own.
Not so bad. We're out of the water. It's a nice day, huh? We can clear this mess up, play a little shuffleboard, get a tan.
Death Ship, where evil lives in an endless nightmare. And where those who survive are better off dead. Death Ship, your holiday in hell.
All right, that was the trailer for Death Ship 1980 with story by Jack Hill and David P. Lewis. Jack Hill being known for Foxy Brown, Big Birdcage, and episode 184, Sorceress.
I do not know how I missed that.
And David P. Lewis, he did one episode of the Planet of the Apes television series and City on Fire. Screenplay was by John Robbins of Hot Resort. And this was directed by Alvin Rakoff, who did City on Fire from 1979, and a lot of the cast was also in this movie. King Solomon's Treasure from 1979, and Dirty Tricks from 1981.
None of which I've seen.
This might be the only thing on his resume I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
George Kennedy is Captain Ashland, and we've talked about him before a couple of times. First time was in episode 173,
Flight of the Phoenix.
And then very recently in episode 342,
Death on the Nile.
Death on the Nile.
Yeah. Richard Crenna was Trevor Marshall, the father. This whole Marshall family's in here. And he was in First Blood, Rambo 2, and Rambo 3.
Yes. And I was thinking, it's odd that we've never talked about him before. Then you look at his resume and it's like a lot of TV movies, a lot of TV series, and then a lot of, aside from the Rambo movies, a lot of not great movies.
Yeah. And I count this one among them.
Yes.
Nick Mancuso was cleverly named as Nick. I think that was just by accident. And he was in Under Siege with Steven Seagal.
And Tommy Lee Jones.
But we talked about him in episode 66, I think.
Yeah, it was episode 66, Black Christmas.
That's right.
Yeah. He was uncredited as the voice, though.
Yeah. Sally Ann Howes was Margaret Marshall, and she was in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Kate Reed was Sylvia Morgan, and this was the older lady who died by death by hard candy. Disease.
Yes.
By hard candy. And she was in the Andromeda Strain and Death of a Salesman. She was in some good stuff.
Yeah, so I don't understand why she was in this.
Yeah, Victoria Burgoyne was Laurie. And you Doctor Who fans would probably know some of the lore behind her because she was in Shada, the episode that Tom Baker did way back when, but went unfinished, and it's been out in various forms ever since and remade a bazillion times. I could do an entire show with how many times they've redone Shada just because it kind of sat on there. And that episode was also written by the Hitchhikers, the Galaxy guy.
Douglas Adams?
Douglas Adams.
Oh, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, very cool. Jennifer McKinney was Robin Marshall, one of the children. She was in Silence of the North and Running. And David Hyam was Ben Marshall. He was in Love at Stake. And a true Canadian is always in an episode of Littlest Hobo.
And he was.
And he was.
As was another cast member.
Saul Rubenek, you might have to remind me because I only wrote down the one, but Saul Rubenek was Jackie. He played the comedian on the ship, the kind of entertainment director, and he's been in lots of stuff. He's that guy you saw in The Thing, though, one time.
Yep.
He's in Unforgiven and True Romance and a bazillion other things.
And The Littlest Hobo.
Because
he's Canadian.
There you go. I'd never seen him that thin and young.
No kidding. I mean, this is early on.
But I was
in his
super
career.
excited when I saw his name. I was like, oh, Saul.
Yeah, me too, yeah. And unfortunately, he didn't get to stay on the screen for very long.
No, he did not. But his unibrow is eternal.
Yes.
Murray Crutchley was Parsons, and he was in episode 262, Scanners.
Of course, Canadian. Duh.
Yes. Doug Smith was also in City on Fire, and he was Seaman number 1.
That's why I didn't get that far, because I didn't do the Seaman. I don't do Seaman.
You don't do Seaman?
I don't do Seaman.
Well, how about Seaman number 2?
Seaman number 2?
That was Anthony Sherwood, who was also in Scanners.
Oh, well, now we have a gangbang.
Maybe I should.
I'm like, I try to stay away from too much semen.
Or the bukkake.
Maybe I should just call them sea guys.
Quit setting me up, Jake.
I think we all should, quite frankly, sea guys.
Sea persons.
Sea persons.
Sea persons.
Because it's not like it's a guy-only thing.
Yeah.
But that sort of seems like an Atlantis thing. Sea persons.
Yeah.
The citizens of Atlantis.
I mean, I believe technically that is actually what the position is called, is Seaman first class, Seaman second class. But we're bad.
Sea man. Don't
I know,
get it out of your head.
Yeah. So many things. I wonder if they wish they renamed.
Yes, that's pretty much our entire cast here. So basically, you got this cruise ship. It's struck by this big trawler, and you have pretty much every character you were introduced are the survivors of this.
On a floating box.
Yeah.
Not a life raft, but a floating box.
Yeah, because most of the life rafts, they did take a couple of shots where they like fell off during the crash. Yeah. In fact, there's a scene on the death ship when they escape to the death ship, and when there's thought of escape, the death ship expels all of its lifeboats.
Which I did like.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really well thought out little detail.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we need more of the, like you said earlier, more of the aftermath of the crash, right? When you have literally, and nowadays it would be 3,000 or 4,000 people on a ship, right? And to only have 9, you need to sort of explain that, much like they did with the Poseidon adventure, is how, you survive, but then there's the after effects that can take you out, right? And that's what Poseidon adventure did really well.
Yeah.
The episode.
Well, I think having more survivors is something that allows you to just up your death count. I mean, if we're modernizing it, this movie doesn't work.
No.
You need some body count. You need to have some fucking fun. If this is a torture ship, half the time I kept going, well, where are the saw traps?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. You want more of that. Right. And you could even up the death count by having more trauma on the ship as that ship's sinking, people drowning, right? People crushed by things, right? I mean, I'm not advocating pain and suffering, but when you're watching a movie like this, that's what you need to show.
Yeah, I mean, the first opening thing, that's carnage. So, if that piano's falling down the deck, so I'm not sure how it got up there because it was down and then it was up. But if it's falling down, let it fall on somebody.
Yeah.
This is a horror movie.
Exactly.
Well, and what you could do is you might have like enough survivors, but the ship takes them out. Then they're like, oh, run, and they can't get out of the way. Like, I mean, there's other ways too. You could add a count with you didn't expect.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, with those ships, especially when they're in motion, if you're within a certain distance of that ship in the water, it pulls you in, right? And you don't get out because it has its own undertow. That would be one of the things you could show is somebody getting pulled under the ship and possibly even through the propellers.
Yeah, I actually thought we might see a little bit of blood come out the back of the death ship when Saul Rubenek's character was pulled under in the wake of the death ship.
Yes, yeah, because that would have been what would happen.
Yeah, and they even say that's probably what's going to happen. They even mention that that's a possibility. So, yeah. Show me. I'm a big fan of show, don't tell.
Yeah, especially in horror. Like I said, some horror is best left up to your own imagination, but a film like this, you need...
I feel like just blood it up, gore it up. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's a torture ship. You can walk that line right up to torture porn.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Where were the torture rooms? Why weren't you finding those rooms?
Yeah. Yeah. And where's the horror from that? Exactly. Like, why aren't we seeing what this ship really was?
Yeah.
And they discover how terrible it is throughout the entire course of the film.
Yeah.
Right? Because, I mean, it's a big ship. So there's lots of things that they could discover. And I mean, finding that cold room where they had corpses hanging right near the end didn't make a lot of sense to me.
That's one of those, you set it up early.
Yeah.
You come across it and now you're really ramping up going, oh, we're not safe at all.
Yeah.
Or they discover this derelict ship and not realizing it's haunted yet, but they're discovering the carnage of it.
Yeah.
And so these well-preserved World War II soldiers are in there. And it's a great setup because there's gear in there. There's the boats and the stuff that came with those American soldiers.
Yeah.
Or British soldiers.
They try too hard to do away with the hope early on in the film. Right? Because, I mean, when they're first climbing up the ramp, up the side of the ship, and it collapses and they get dumped into the water and they have to get pulled up by...
What do they call that? Gangway?
Gangway, that's what it is, yeah. We'll go with gangway, because I can't remember what it's called. I know there is a gangway, but I don't think that's what those stairs are called.
Okay.
But, yeah, having to go through the rope and stuff like that made sense, right? Because it's an old derelict ship. You expect things to fail.
Yeah.
But killing Jackie so quickly...
Yeah.
I think you needed some time with them exploring the ship and finding things that make them question what this ship really was. Is important.
Yeah, to have something so dramatic happen so quickly where it's like, okay, they didn't see the rope get snag on his around his ankle and stuff, but it pulled him up in the air and dunked him and up and down. I would have been all over looking for, who's fucking with us on this ship.
Yeah.
And didn't feel like they did that.
Well, and it made his death feel very anticlimactic because you didn't really get a chance to know him before he died. So you had nothing invested in him.
No, none at all.
Right. And
that's where that survival bit in your first half hour is probably crucial, because that's where you get to know everybody. I didn't feel a connection to anybody in this movie.
No, right. The only connection I felt was my dislike of the captain.
Yeah.
Right, because that was established really well, really quickly.
I kind of liked Ben because he had a weak bladder.
Yeah.
Okay, and I was going to say this about Ben. I actually had a lot of respect for that, little child as a character. He knows when he has to pee, and that's very important. He's getting to that stage, and he's doing very well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and he doesn't care where he goes.
Yeah, but he knows he can't pee as bad, so he's good. I was pretty respectful. He's getting the hang of this whole thing. No bedwetting from this kid.
Yes, but I mean, we were talking about how the kid's awesome and stuff like that. But well, he's not. He's actually really annoying. But the one thing that you do like is the fact that he does know when to pee and doesn't care where he does it. But yeah, I mean, both the kids were pretty annoying, to be honest with you. And the fact that they were kept being allowed to run around the ship. That's like this. A ship is not a safe place to begin with, especially an abandoned ship where you don't know.
And when you got 3 crew members on this ship from the cruise ship who should know better.
Yes, well, they do lots of stupid shit when they get on the ship. Yeah. Lots of stupid shit.
Oh, yeah.
Right? The first thing they didn't do is they didn't go to the bridge to see if they could get the ship headed in the direction it needed to go.
Yes, right? Or just look for working communications, which is also going to be there.
Which should also be there, yes. I mean, they do get there eventually, but that would be the first thing that ship's captain, and Krenna was the next captain of that cruise ship. That would be the first thing they would do is, does the ship move, and can we get it moving in the direction we need it to go?
Yeah, because your captain from the previous ship is still incapacitated. They find him floating in the water, and he's having delusions and stuff and hearing the Nazi chants in his head. Yes. So we're assuming he's getting possessed at this point.
So, I mean, they don't do that. They finally do find an infirmary, which would be the next thing you would do, is take care of your injured and you're ill.
Yeah.
Right. So that made sense to me. They did when they did finally find that.
Yeah, and Laurie went looking for new clothes and stuff, some warm clothes to wear,
and all that stuff made sense to me. It's just as they started splitting up, she takes a fucking shower.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
After all this weird shit happens, it's like, oh, I'm going to take a shower, which is an all.
Well, she was boning Nick the whole time, so you do wind up having to sweat.
Yeah, you can't see my face. It's like, but yeah, I'm making faces about that one.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, there is an analog to the showers and not the Nazi concentration camps with that, and I think that's what that was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know that it worked.
No,
because obviously it didn't. Because Jay's like, oh yeah, I guess so. But
well, the shower of blood just felt kind of contrite,
and it felt very contrived.
Yeah,
It felt, let's show her breasts.
Yeah,
let's get lots of blood in there.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to make sense. Like every death in this movie.
Yeah, and then she was magically transported or something, wasn't she? She wasn't in the shower when they found her.
That's right. Yeah,
yeah, that happens a lot. They're just elsewhere.
Yeah, and I mean, if you do that right, it works in the sense of this is a ghost ship. This isn't a ship with its own intelligence, right?
Yeah, because the blood kind of fills in there, and she's panicking and calling for Nick, and then they finally get in there, and she's not there, and then the captain has her over his head and hucks her
into the water, and I think that was supposed to happen is the ship told him to go and do that, right?
Yeah.
But that part was missing from the story. The effect of the ship on him wasn't well enough established at that point for that to make sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I want to see this ship work as an entity. So not just suddenly victims here and now they're there. That doesn't work for me.
No.
I wanted to see it kind of function in a very bizarre, but it's almost its own entity kind of way. Because you would probably have all these souls meshing in there. I also kind of want to have some conflict within the ship itself. I mean, you have the victims and the dead spirits all running around in here, but I assume at some point there was some sort of revolt that killed the Nazis as well, or
the ship did because it wanted to stay alive and there were no more.
Yeah, or the crew all died during something that actually happened during the war.
Yeah.
But I want to know that story. I mean, find a logbook or something.
Exactly. Yeah, I totally agree. And I think the fact that you have these tortured souls in this ship, I think that that's where your conflict between the ship and these tortured souls. These tortured souls are trying to protect these people and trying to save them, kind of situation where they know what's going to happen, but they still are powerless to stop it. I think that was definitely missing. It's just it just felt like people wandering around a ship getting dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, with children, you actually have kind of a golden opportunity here, because with a lot of horror movies, it's the kids who see the ghosts first. So you could use them like that's what the tortured souls are communicating through the children.
That's a good idea. I like that, actually, where the kids are kind of seeing these poor souls that had died and that are trying to protect them from the rest of the evil of the ship.
Yeah, like, giving them directions, saying the lifeboats are over here. Yeah. And then they have the kids saying the lifeboats are over there.
Yeah.
Right. You could have those moments.
And stop showing me all these red pistons that are clearly the heart of the ship and then not do anything with it.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again. I kept thinking, I'm like, okay, we're going to wind up in this room. Somebody's going to get crunched, or they're going to try to stop these gears and kill this ship. Nope. That would have been a great place for the captain to meet his end.
Yeah, well, and he kind of does, but not.
Yeah.
It's not as well handled as it could have been, because they set you up with that.
Yeah, everybody's long gone by the time he fought the ship. It's like, that's all that's left, and I have lost any use for you.
Yeah,
that feels so anticlimactic.
The fact that it sailed off into the sunset, it's like, we want a sequel. We want a sequel. We want a sequel. You're not getting it. But that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
Yes, but yeah.
I do want them to injure the ship.
Yeah, I think
that make those pistons matter.
Yeah, I think so. If we use them at all.
Yeah, right. If you're going to show us something that is a metaphor for the heart of this ship, and clearly that's what it was, the beating heart of this ship, because the pistons would stop when the ship would stop. When they actually had the captain was stabbed there with the dinner knife, and we thought maybe he was dead there.
Yeah.
And then the ship just stopped and then starts up again when he wakes up, and he's fine.
Yeah, that was another thing that didn't make sense is, you can survive a stab wound, sure, but there has to be some sort of indication that he is still injured.
Blood on the uniform or something. Yeah. But, it could have been an interesting thing where he died. Like, he was dead before he ever boarded that ship. They found, he was barely hanging on, and by the time they got him on board, he was dead. So whatever's left is just this husk that the ship took over. Oh, that's really cool. I wish it would have been in the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they find him water. I couldn't figure out. I'm like, he was submerged and nobody saw him anywhere?
I was wondering about that too. They just sort of see the hand come up and then he's back under the water. I mean, he would have been dead. If he was submerged like that in the water, that means there's no air in his lungs and he is dead. Sorry, again, I'm making gestures and faces. You guys can't see them.
You know what? I've done this long enough. I can hear him.
Yeah, that did not make sense. And I think that's one of the things that needs to change is, yes, have him injured during the crash. He does die while they're adrift. And then when they come to the ship, he's barely hanging on and dies before they get him to the infirmary or whatever you need to do. But I like Jay's idea of having him sort of become possessed by the ship.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it's really important that it be the ship that be the entity, not ghosts. I think that you do have ghosts, but they are in opposition to the ship.
I think it's that visceral energy of what happened on this ship is kind of given its life of its own.
Yes, exactly. Right, like the horror and the terror of all those people, it absorbed it and became this horrible, monstrous thing in and of itself. Right. But there's also the opposing force of all these souls that are still trapped there, right? And trapped by the terror and what happened. And they want their own revenge on it. And I think that's where you get your climactic ending is it's not the living humans that beat the ship. It's these trapped souls finally get their chance to free themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would be a really satisfying ending rather than having all these people survive. I could give a shit if everybody died on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I don't need the rescue.
Yeah.
Right? The rescue was...
Oh, the rescue happened so fast,
Yeah.
too. It's like, well, you're not even close because the ship's been going its own direction, so why would the choppers be looking there?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you probably were miles and miles away from when...
From where the ship sank, yeah.
Yeah. That annoyed me. I would have left that, okay, they got off the ship and left that ending ambiguous because, okay, they're off the ship, but your survival is still in progress.
Yes.
You still might not make it.
Yeah.
You're out of that danger, but you're on to new danger.
Exactly. Right. But I mean, maybe the fact that I didn't have anything invested in any of the characters is why I didn't care if they lived or died.
Mm-hmm.
So that could change. And I was thinking about it as we were talking here is when that ship goes quite literally through the cruise ship, we don't need them adrift. You could just have people falling onto the deck of that ship as it goes through the cruise ship.
Mm-hmm.
And you can eliminate some of that sort of nonsensical people adrift kind of stuff. And it tightens the story up a little bit so that you get onto the ship a little bit faster.
Yeah, and it does kind of, in a way, make sense. I'm like, okay, yeah, this ship rammed you, but you don't know if it's on purpose or not, or if it's this ship that was adrift, but it's the thing that's not sinking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then you could have, like, the captain come down and he is dead. He hits that deck and boom, he's dead.
Yeah.
Right? So that when he comes back, there's no is he or isn't he dead kind of thing.
Yeah.
He is quite clearly dead when he hits that bottom of that ship. You could even do kind of almost the zombie thing where he's still like something doesn't look quite right about his skull or something like that.
Yeah, his neck cracks or something.
Yeah. I mean, not really, really overt, just enough to make it look like something's not quite right with this guy anymore.
Yeah. And if he's taking on the mannerisms of somebody who captained that death ship at some point, then we need to know that backstory. And that instead of seeing flash forwards of people's demise, which is not that creepy, we should be seeing flashbacks in those scenes. And that's where the kids can maybe come in, and because they're seeing more than the adults are. Yeah. And they're seeing the rooms as they were, rather than where they are now.
Yeah. See, that would be a lot more interesting for sure.
Yeah.
Right. And I like the idea of our captain. First, he's sort of, the fact that he's still alive is a miracle to them. Mm-hmm. But as it progresses, he starts speaking in German or whatever language that we choose, right?
I kept expecting that.
I did too, right? Is that he would start speaking like he was the captain of the ship or the ship itself.
Yeah, I mean, we had the German coming through the internal
speaker
systems, but that's all we got. But I honestly thought we would have the captain speaking German at some point.
Exactly, yeah, and certainly I would make better use of the only German-speaking character, because she did understand German. She was able to read it. Mm-hmm. Make better use of her.
Yeah, candy scene gone.
Yeah,
I don't understand why we had like one infection. That was so bizarre to me.
Yeah. Again, I think that they thought of these sort of, they did the Jackie Chan thing as well. We have this cool death scene, so we'll do this. We have this cool death scene, so we'll do this.
Yeah.
Right? They weren't really that cool guys, but they had these ideas for death scenes and they're like, okay, we'll just stick that one there and this person this is how that person's going to die without having it make sense within the story.
Yeah. I mean, some caution between finding food on a vessel this old as well. I mean, you'd figure anything fresh would be rotten and stuff. So there should be that caveat of maybe don't touch anything on here. You don't know what's going on this thing.
Well, and they kind of do that with the water.
Yeah.
Right. But
yeah. And the kids, like she says, don't eat or drink anything. We don't know yet.
Because she knows. And she is the most logical character in the whole film, because she does say these things that make sense, that anybody with half a brain would say, hey, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't eat 40 or 50 or 60 or 80-year-old canned goods even.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're not going to be good anymore. Is it bloated? Yes. Don't eat it.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think the closest they'll do is they'll find any whiskey and be like, okay, the whiskey's fine.
Exactly. But that's where your new captain is like, well, we have one choice. We need to get this ship running in the direction we needed to get running.
Yeah.
And I never got that sense from them that they were going to use the ship to their advantage.
No, it just felt like, okay, we're not on the ocean anymore.
Exactly.
Great.
Yeah.
Then what? You're just going to live here the rest of your lives? No, you're not.
Yeah, because you're going to starve.
You're not doing anything for your survival.
Well, actually, they are going to live there for the rest of their lives because they're going to be really, really short.
Yes.
But yes, they're not thinking about their own survival. They're thinking, well, we're dry and comfortable. And that's not
enough.
Not enough, and certainly not in character with an experienced sea captain, an experienced crew member.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense.
And he gives up on those communications, on that communications equipment way too quickly, I think. Like, he should have at least been with the other guy and being like, well, we can try and get it up and running. He just says, oh, it's old. We'll never be able to tell anybody.
Exactly, right? There should be more effort into trying to get things to work. You know what? Maybe the radio doesn't work, but you know what? Most of those ships still had telegraph as well. Does that work? Can they get a second signal that way? Like, there's all this thing.
Do we have any dry flares? Do we have, what do we have?
What do we have to let people know where we are, right? Can we get the engines running? Gave us a moment down in that engine hold with Nick and the captain trying to see if the engines work, if there's fuel, checking for fuel, right? It's like, is there diesel in these engines? Is it coal-fired?
Yeah, what's making this thing run at all? And how's it even running without a crew? Like,
and crap,
they need to
have
answer.
Lori.
There's so many questions.
There are. Did you get a blood drive kind of vibe off this ship?
A little bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
A little bit?
Yeah, when they said the ship needs blood to survive. Yeah, in the back of my mind, blood drive.
Yes. Yes, it will always come back up. Inevitably, because we love it that much.
Yeah.
I was expecting those pistons at the end after the captain just be stained with blood because that's how it lubricates.
Yeah, I wanted that stuff. That's why this movie was disappointing, because there was stuff there that would have been so easy, and they didn't give it to you.
Well, I think we know how to iron it out. I don't know, like, if we want to stick with Nazis or a torture ship or human trafficking. I mean, whatever the catalyst is, you kind of need to have that tragedy there.
I mean, I will be the first to admit that I think that the Nazi as the villain trope is kind of overdone. But I think that if we were to set it in modern day and to have it be a Nazi ship would make that it even that much more amazing, because now it's
been going at it
80
for quite
years.
some time. Yeah.
Right. So that's makes it more astounding that they found the ship that runs by itself and has been adrift at sea for 80 some years.
But that's the thing, it's not adrift, and
that's even better, right?
Going, how is this still going? And they're talking about, like, how is this not shown up on any sonar, any radar? Like
how's nobody ever run into it before?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you could even make analogies to the Bermuda Triangle. There's another similar space between the Philippines and Japan where ships don't go because so many ships are lost in there. So, especially around Japan, right? Because the German fleets were also active there, more in the Atlantic, but you could have sort of play up on that, right? As these areas where ships disappear, is this what was happening? Is this ship actually collecting souls by sinking other ships?
Oh, yeah. And when they find, like, leftovers, it's not all from Nazi times. Like, when they find the watches and stuff, they'll find things from different eras in that one place.
Well, that would suggest, that would suggest that the ship had done this many times before.
And I kind of like that.
And I mean, when they had that tray and it had the teeth and the gold teeth and stuff, that suggests more torture and just taking of anything of value.
Well, that was very much what the Germans did with the Jews, right? Is to take all any gold teeth and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, but if you started seeing stuff from different eras, and God forbid, like a cell phone from the early 2000s, a flip phone or something, like, well, wait a minute. What's going on here?
Yeah, I think that adds to the mystery of the ship a lot more.
Yeah.
Right? And it gives it a history.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just, it's been adrift or running around by itself for 40 some years or 80 some years now. It's been active, and it just lends more to that. It needs the blood or souls or whatever device you use to power it, right? Is it powered off souls or, I mean, blood? Sure, why not, right?
You can also go thinking about this as well. I know, like, the Nazis were big on, like, kind of metaphysical stuff. They're into that shit and trying to figure out how to use it to win the war. So, I mean, you could kind of wrangle that in there, and that's sort of part of the ship's lore.
I like that, actually. I think that would actually really sort of enhance what's happened on the ship a little bit. Right? Because you're right, they were very much experimenting with that.
I also want to see how the ship's adapted itself to its new You know, it's not a torture ship for Nazis anymore. It's a living, breathing entity. So, okay, if we have this allegory for its heart and its lungs and its brain, I'd like to see those allegories, as well as like, okay, well, I don't have people to do anything for me. So now it's like, well, how are you manipulating these people to get what you need? In which case, how are you killing them? And that's where you can do things a little more unrealistic than what a normal ship is like, right? Like this ship in the movie was using its yard arms and things like that. It was using things that would normally be on a ship. And I think you could do something a little bit more here where, I mean, you're literally running around in this thing's body, right?
Yes. And it did do some of that where it was shutting the emergency doors behind everybody and sort of forcing them in a direction.
Yeah.
And I think that worked really well, except it took them nowhere.
Yeah.
Right? I think you could use that device and have it force somebody to their demise.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. It controls where it wants them so that it can harvest their blood.
Force them into a ballast and drown them.
Yeah, it's just some sort of trap it's conceived to cull the blood or whatever it needs for its new survival, if it ever needed anything.
Yeah.
But this evil ship.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not adverse to the whole blood as fuel kind of device, obviously. But if that's the case, then all the deaths have to be bloody.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, I want this to be a fucking gory movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like over the top, almost cartoonishly gory.
Yeah.
Like, I drive.
Yeah, I want you to be very upset about what you saw, kind of gory.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do want mention of tetanus, though, because you definitely would get that on that ship.
I think it would be the least of your worries.
The least of your worries.
Oh, it is. It is. But I do want the mother figure being like, yeah, don't touch that. Like, there's
you'll get tetanus.
Lots of rust. You could get tetanus.
Yeah, I think like a sort of a worrywart mom, like it's like be careful, don't do this, don't do this. Completely unaware of the actual peril that they're in, and I kind of like that.
Look how rusty the walls are. I don't think that's rust.
Yeah. Right, but cobwebs and
and they did do cobwebs.
Yes,
they did a lot of that.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, I mean,
but no spiders. Where are the spiders?
Well,
rats and insects do get on the ships when they're docked. So, yeah, if there's nothing to clean it up, they'll breed and multiply. But yes, they didn't show any of that.
They eventually will. Yeah. And 80 years, chances are...
Once everything that's edible is gone, it'll all die off.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you should see evidence like little carcasses and dried up rat skeletons.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And things like the beds, right? The beds had perfect linens on them. Yeah. Sorry, those would be... tatters.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Right. So there's little details like that to show the age of the ship. Ironically, the beds in cruise ships for crew look almost exactly the same now as they did in that ship.
Oh,
at least 20 years before. I mean, that was 22 years ago for me, but they were, I mean, the crew cabins were very, very similar, surprisingly enough.
Oh.
So
see, it helps to have a cast member here that's done this stuff.
Yeah. Well, nice. I've never done this stuff. But
you've never been on a death ship before?
No, I've never been on a death ship before.
Yeah. Isn't that all cruise ships?
They do say a lot of people, there's mysterious disappearances on cruise ships.
It has happened. Not on the ship I was on, at least not while I was there, but...
They're just COVID lockers now.
You're just trying to have an alibi now, Sam. It never happened on any of my ships.
Exactly. Am I incriminating myself now?
I think it's been long enough that it's fine. It's enough time.
You were young. Stuff happened.
I don't think you can go to trial for it anymore.
No. Although I think maybe for part of the movie, there should be like a moment where they find a place where it does look nice and the linens look nice. And that's really weird and creepy.
Well, yeah, because then it would be inviting. And that's maybe where the ship is trying to usher them towards certain things by enticing them in a pleasant way. It's like, okay, here's your respite.
Yes. And then have it turn out to be an illusion, right?
Yeah. Yeah, as it's messing with his minds. And maybe that's where the food and stuff comes in. You don't go with like what they did with the candy and then suddenly she's got some sort of hideous Ebola. Instead, they're seeing pristine, new, fresh food.
Yeah.
and they're eating rotted food. And again, this is where the kids are seeing the reality. They're like,
no, and I'm not going to do it. And I wanted the older character to be walking senile, right? Like she's not quite all the way there. And they kind of hinted at it, but they never really got there. So that when she does make that mistake, it makes sense that she would be the one to make the mistake.
Yeah.
Because her mental faculties aren't quite as
Yeah.
sharp as they used to be.
Yeah, she's seeing a perfect reality. She wants it to be.
Yeah.
And the ship wants it to be. She's easily manipulated into thinking that.
Exactly. And I want to lean into the fact that her husband had died fairly recently, maybe even on the cruise ship. So she has that she's also consumed by grief.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, I'd want that. The fact that this family unit is still intact is amazing. Yeah. But if you're going to start off on the cruise ship, show these characters interacting and show families that have been torn apart and that loss. So a lot will be in shock. A lot will be in a state of grief and shock.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know who wouldn't be in shock.
Exactly. Even our captain, our quote unquote hero, who isn't very heroic.
Lieutenant. Would he be a captain?
Well, he is the new captain. So he is a captain. He's just not the captain.
Right.
And they never really acknowledge that. I mean, they state it, but they never acknowledge the fact that he is indeed a captain. He's just transitioning into a new ship. But yeah, again, not very heroic.
No, he's not a very good leader, and maybe we should see something early on where he's like, okay, this is my first captaincy, and there's a little bit of hesitation. We got to see him grow into that leadership character.
Exactly.
And this is a perfect scenario to do that. I would be quite fine if he sacrifices himself to get his family out of there.
I think that would be the right thing to do.
Yeah, when he put those kids on the boat and went back for his wife and got her off the ship, if it meant to launch them safely, that's what he should have done.
Yep.
Is that the final conflict would have resulted in his death, but maybe the death of the ship as well.
And I think that would work really well, where we talked about having the spirits in opposition to the ship itself, and they work with him, and maybe they actually possess him, like much like the ship has possessed the other captain, to bring about that resolution.
Yeah. You know, where we can sometimes see those ghosts as an audience.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, you want to present it in such a way where we can see a little bit more than they can.
Yes.
And to maybe see one of these victims like walk into our new captain, into Marshall.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And you could even have these really neat moments where they're actually helping our survivors by when the captain is like starting to stalk them, like, they subtly close doors that block his way.
Yeah.
Right. So they're using the ship against itself in some ways.
Yeah.
I think that would be really kind of neat.
Yeah. And that's where you can flash back into the hold where the pistons and stuff, and it almost sounds like an irritated scream. Like it's these other spirits are counterproductive to its goals, and it's having a tantrum.
Yeah.
And you can do that with like screeching metal.
Yeah. Or the pistons speed up, right? Like they would if you were angry or if you have that adrenaline going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Just really subtle, but still passing on the message.
Yeah.
I want to make this movie now.
Yeah. An evil ship movie. It like you said, Ghost Ship, there's an evil entity on the ship, but it's not the ship. And this one, it is the ship, but they don't do enough with the ship. But like, there's one I watched a movie called The Boat, where it is an evil boat who's trying to kill the guy.
Yes.
But like on a ship.
Yeah, you talked about that in 31 Days of Horror a couple years ago.
Yeah. So it would be amazing to like, I'm surprised there aren't more like evil ship movies, because it would be terrifying.
It's hard to do well, as we've seen. Right? I mean, conceptually, it's a lot of fun, but how do you do it where it's effective and keeps your audience engaged? And I think we've come up with a way to do that, where you have three different characters, right? You have the ship, then you have your survivors, and then you have your ghosts, right? The actual ghosts of the original victims of the ship, and the ghosts of everybody he's taken since, or it's taken since. Right, so you could have some fun with that, where you have like a guy in his 80s preppy polo shirts or sailing gear and his docksiders and stuff like that, like right, where he's just standing there and he of course he's like standing there like he's righteously pissed off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the one standing there with the flip phone.
His speedboat is what hit this ship.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And he's like, "How dare you?" Doing his old Chad thing. Right?
Yeah. My parents just got me that yacht. Damn it.
And I think that's the other thing we need too, is just little more humor to balance out the horror as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You need those moments to sort of make the next shocking thing that much more shocking.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I think that was the other thing that they did wrong when they killed off Jackie, because he was the lightness of in the dark, right? He was the funny guy. He was the cruise ship. He's the cruise director. He was the host. And to have him die so quickly.
But yeah, you also told us why.
Yeah.
And that was actually quite clever. And I quite liked that the ship was so opposed to this Jewish person being on the ship, but you would figure it would want to make his death slow, not quick.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And I think that would be a better way to go, is give him a little more time so you can relate to him, and that he is, so that you actually feel something when he does go, right? I mean, you could have, like I said, we could have more people, right, like as well, drop onto the deck of this ship.
Yeah.
Many of whom are injured or dead when they land.
Yeah.
Right.
Or in the case of, you've got some of the, when the ship crashed and you said they got on there, and then as the ship goes, more survivors maybe get picked up in the way that this original crew wound up on the boat, where they had their makeshift boat or whatever, or even on a lifeboat.
Yeah, exactly. Or on debris or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I think that more people means more risk, means more gore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. You don't need to give these new survivors a lot of character.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you could have that moment where that gangway collapses and somebody gets crushed instead of just falling back into the water.
Although there's an advantage of having Jackie to die early, because he could be one of our ghosts. A really fresh one.
Yes.
That is very motivated to help everybody else.
I think that works really well, is he becomes the first victim of the ship.
Mm-hmm.
But I want it to be more subtle too, right? It's like where the ship does machinate his death, but it's so subtle that nobody realizes that the ship did it.
It looks like an actual accident, not like what it did.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then we can start seeing hints of his presence, and wouldn't it be cool, like the shower scene or whatever, and in the mirror you got just somebody's put a note in the steam on the mirror, right? Get off this ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I like that. I think that having hints of it, and then it gives that character more importance in the film.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that you're starting scene with, like you said, on the cruise ship, you have more time with these characters.
Yeah. You definitely need to have that, and you kind of do that with the survival moment, right? Because then you're just getting into survival on another ship. So it's going to be pretty much kinetic energy as it builds and builds and builds, but you can get a better sense of who these people are through surviving this. And just, just a little extra. I mean, I don't think they did enough with the scenes that they did give us before anything happens.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. So, I mean, I like the idea of Jackie being the cruise director, funny guy kind of thing, right? So what if, and this is just a what if we wait until they get to the bridge and they ask him if he can maybe make the radio work. He's a tech guy. Well, not a tech guy, but he's an entertainment guy. He's worked with microphones and soundboards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he's the closest thing they have to an expert.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and then as he's working on it, he gets electrocuted.
Right. Simple, but, and that's, you do want to start the deaths off slow.
Yeah.
So you're not putting everybody on edge right away, and it gives you a chance for them to do the survival things you would normally want to do.
Right. I mean, but you can let the audience in on it. Is you can see that the ship has moved a wire to connect that wasn't supposed to be connected, and they'll execute it. Right. You can see like a screw tightening or something.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, this is part Final Destination in that regard.
In that regard, yeah.
And Sam, like this idea actually like goes in really easily to that problem we had where they give up too easily on the comms.
Yeah.
This makes sense because he's like going, okay, we have to be very, very careful. Last time we tried this, somebody died.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it actually fixes a bunch of problems by doing it that way.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. And then it gives him a sense of purpose also. So yeah, I think that might be actually a really good solution to that now that I think about it.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I would do away with is the burial at sea, even though that's would be technically what they would do in the past in history. Yeah. I mean, by the time this rolls around, that's not.
But cruise ships don't do that.
No,
that's
they have more.
That's a military thing.
Yeah.
So
it's not even a military thing anymore. It was a necessary thing when you didn't have cold storage.
And they have cold storage because we found a lot of bodies.
Yeah, and I think that wants to, like, hey, let the families know or whatever. And possibly, and this is horrible to think about, but that might be their only food source.
Well, and that's, I mean, I hate to go into that whole alive kind of thing. Is like, well, we might need this. But that gave me another idea. So if they find the cold storage and it has those bodies hanging on hooks, right? Yeah. What if one point you see the something happen and the hooks sort of going and it drops something into a grinder to fuel itself?
Oh.
It's actually storing food.
Yeah.
So they start putting bodies in there, not realizing that they're actually fueling the ship.
Yeah. Oh, I like it.
Yeah.
Cool. Gory, gross, and funny. I like it.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's find out how our casting's going to go. I would just like to just come up with a whole new cast and a whole new dynamics for our characters. But considering we're working off this model, I'm still interested in like who you would have cast to replace these characters, even though I have a feeling if we did this whole cloth, it'd be an entirely different set of dynamics going on.
And I actually cast to different dynamics, to be honest with you.
Okay.
So I guess I'll go first.
Sure.
Okay. So for my Captain Ashland, most cruise ship captains are Italian.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay.
I have no idea. I just know that they are.
Okay.
I did not go Italian, but I did go with somebody who could pass as Italian.
I would have if I'd known that.
I went with Benicio del Toro. I think that he would be really great in that role, especially with that switch to like from just sort of control freak to out and out possessed psychopath.
Yeah.
I think he'd have a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah.
For my Trevor Marshall, I went Charlie Cox, Daredevil.
Yeah.
I think that he's of that right age. He's like where he's just sort of just right for coming up to be a new captain. Like this is his first command kind of captain.
I like that. That's good casting.
Yes.
For my Nick, I went with Winston Duke. I wanted somebody who was sort of big and solid, like used to working around engines and heavy equipment and stuff like that. So I went with Winston Duke. For my Margaret Marshall, I went with Lorenza Izzo. She was a up and coming actress. She was in Knock Knock and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Okay.
So you'd have to look her up and you'll see that why I cast her, I guess. For my Sylvia Morgan, I went with Maria Doyle Kennedy. She was in Orphan Black. She was also in The Commitments and Outlander.
Cool.
Yeah, so an Irish actress, and yeah, I think that she'd have I mean, she's maybe not quite old enough to be in the senile, but I think if you just switch that from senile to grief,
right,
where her husband has died suddenly on a ship, she's in her late 50s.
Yeah.
She's about the right age for that type of thing to happen.
Mm-hmm.
For my Lori, who I think is a showgirl, I don't think she's a passenger. I think we made her a showgirl, and that's why her relationship with Nick is kind of okay. I went with Emily Browning.
All right.
Because I want that character to have more, aside from being like a simple sex object. And then, she happens to know German, but we don't do anything with it.
Yeah.
I actually was thinking about, like, what if she was on that trip with her husband, having a little tryst on the side while he's off somewhere else, gambling maybe in the casino, and then the crash happens.
That could work really well as well.
Yeah.
But then she'd be dealing with some guilt as well, which actually could work really well.
Yeah. Oh, I love emotional turmoil in a horror movie.
Yeah, I think, I heard it. I'm going with that.
Okay.
And then for my Jackie, I went with Pete Davidson. I think that he'd be a lot of fun as a cruise director, especially if you get to kill him early. He's prone to doing that. Suicide Squad.
I might have to go with that. I forgot to cast my Jackie. The most fun.
Yeah.
But I forgot because he died so quickly.
Yes. And I mean, the fact that he is, as he says himself, he's racially ambiguous, but he is part Jewish, so that still works. And then for my director, I went with Sean Byrne. He hasn't done anything in 7 years, and I don't know why, but I want more from him.
Yeah, Sean Byrne's great.
He is great, and I think that a sort of a closed environment type of setting like this is kind of his milieu, his setting.
Yeah.
Fucking French words. Right, because if you think about the loved ones, or even what's the name of the movie? Devils. His second movie.
Oh, Devils. Oh, I know this one too. I do know what you're.
Yeah, but his second movie again was a fairly small setting. It mostly took place around that house.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that this would be a good place for him to maybe expand his setting a little bit because he's got a bigger closed set to work with.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it'd be a good set for him. And I think he could bring a lot of that sort of tension and mystery into it too.
Yeah. Very cool. All right, Trish, what do you got?
All right. So I cast a lot of people because I thought, Gotta do that. I wish I'd known about the Italian thing before. I didn't know because I've never been on a cruise ship. I've been on a boat, but not a cruise ship. But for my Captain Ashland, I went with Bradley Whitford.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
I like when he goes from charming to creepy.
He does it very well.
He can also be irascible as well. Like, he looks like somebody who could be very annoyed very easily.
Yeah.
For my Trevor Marshall, I went with David Castaneda from Umbrella Academy.
Okay.
He's kind of about the age, and he was exuding a dad energy for me for a bit there, so I like it. Margaret Marshall, I went with Natalia Tena. Just because I think she's interesting, and I do want to give Margaret a bit more to do, and have her be much more suspicious of the boat.
Who is that?
And Natalia does that. She was in Game of Thrones as the lady who's like looking after Bran at the beginning, like she eventually dies.
Okay.
She was that character that was so good that she died early in the books, but in the show they kept her going longer.
Okay,
and
yeah.
also she's one of those ladies, she is a lady you saw in that thing that one time. She was in Harry Potter with the purple hair.
Okay.
You know her if you saw her.
Yeah,
She's very recognizable.
Yeah, she had huge blue eyes.
Yeah. No, I can see it in my head.
Yeah.
So.
Very gorgeous. Sylvia Morgan, I went with Beth Hall. And she's not very well known. She plays Wendy on Mom, but she exudes that same type of energy where she needs to talk, to hear herself talk and like be aware and around people. So I can see that. For my Laurie, I went with Natalie Emmanuel from Game of Thrones. She was the one who was the translator. She was also the Fast and the Furious as Ramsay.
Okay. Yeah.
And then Nick, I went with Jacob Anderson, who was Grey Worm in Game of Thrones. I don't know why I did this, but I was like, I kind of cast them separately. And it's like, they're never going to get a happy ending on screen at all, ever. And then for my Jackie, I went with Joseph Gordon-Levitt because I really did want him to stick around a lot longer. And I think he can make that showman energy that I like.
Okay.
And I actually cast a voice for the ship because I'm like, just in case. Andrew Divoff. Because he's a polyglot. He can talk a lot of different languages. It's quite interesting.
Yeah.
So I did cast the ship. And then my director is Rob Grant, who directed the movie Harpoon, which is like one set on one yacht. And also there's a lot of comedy in it. So he actually kind of works for what we want to do with this, like those beats of comedy in between the carnage.
Cool. Good cast.
Thanks.
All right. For mine, and I was shooting way higher than this movie deserves, but it is fantasy casting after all.
Oh, for
and
sure.
I can tell you right now, the budget would never allow for the cast I have. But it's my cast, and I'll do what I want.
Absolutely.
For my Captain Ashland, I went with Gary Oldman. I love when he goes off his nut.
Yep.
For Trevor Marshall, I thought he had a similar look when he's got his beard. Christian Bale.
Wow, yeah, you just blew your budget right there.
Oh, yeah.
They had those two actors. Yeah,
that's more than this movie deserves.
Yeah, you're not getting a ship. You're getting a dinghy on the water and two guys talking.
Yeah. Realistically.
It's waiting for Godot, but in the ocean.
Yeah, realistically, this cast is never happening for this movie.
No.
For Nick, Adrian Brody, I do think that's accessible because we haven't seen him really do anything mainstream in a while.
That is true.
Hey, in King Kong, he was hot and an action star. I get it.
Right. And for his wife, Margaret, I went with Sally Hawkins.
Okay.
For Lori, I went with Lily Rabe from American Horror Story.
Nice.
Yes.
For Sylvia Morgan, I went with Diane Wiest.
Oh,
Very
yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Works really well with, you said, On the Edge of Senility.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, cool. She's right at that right age, right around 70, I think, right now. So I like it. And I like Diane Wiest. So
Who doesn't?
Yeah.
You don't, you're broken.
And I actually cast the kids.
Wow, I'm like, fuck that, I'm not doing it.
I was going to, but I was so impressed with Vivian Leigh Blair from Obi-Wan Kenobi as a young little actress that, okay, I got the daughter, I might as well do the son. And Vivian was in a show called We Can Be Heroes, and then I just found another young actor from that show that worked with her before. I'm like, and he was in A Christmas Story Live, which means we're doing Christmas Story this Christmas.
I hate you.
Sweet.
Actually, no, I love A Christmas Story. I just
It's a comparison. We're not remaking it. Because it's called A Christmas Story Live.
I understand what you mean.
And his name was Andy Walken. And he's going to be my Ben.
There you go.
Yeah. And just because I did do a Jackie, but off the top of my head, Patton Oswalt.
Nice.
Maybe?
I mean,
think
he'd
so,
be good.
too.
Yeah.
You know, almost an essential part of getting a little bit of laughs off of this thing and relaxing us through the moments of blood. But there probably won't be too many because I went with Fede Alvarez as my director. Evil Dead. So I wanted Evil Dead vibes. Evil Dead Remake.
Yeah, if you want to go gore, that's the way to go. Yep.
Well, it is. There's Evil Dead on a ship. I mean, you're in a very haunted place with a very haunted thing.
Yeah. Initially, I kind of wanted to go with that 13 Ghosts vibes. Then I looked at the director. I'm like, oh, he's the asshole who did Ghost Ship. Never mind.
He's already tried to do this movie.
He's already tried to do it. Never mind.
Exactly. I like that cast. And Patton Oswalt. I want Jackie
How
to
could you
kind of
not like
sometimes
this cast?
True. Like, but I was like, I want Jackie to have like maybe some tender moments where he's like trying to be funny to like reassure the kids. And I think Patton would really sell that. Like he's just trying to take care of people.
Yeah, because there is something about his personality where there is sort of this balance between humor and pathos that works really well.
Yeah. But ultimately, I know this is a complete wish fulfillment cast. It's not something that would happen in reality. I think Sam's got something closer and Trish has got something closer to what you would actually do. You're probably going to build something on this. Just keep your budget down. One half decent lead, but you're mainly going with TV guys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Pete Davidson might be out of the budget too, but if he's only in it for a few minutes, he might do it just for fun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know, potentially you probably could get Gary Oldman. He'll do things.
Yeah.
Christian Bale wouldn't touch this with a 10-foot pole.
No.
No, he
not even
not.
a little bit.
No. He'd want to be the freaking captain, psycho captain.
If he would even do it.
Yeah,
right?
He wouldn't do it.
No.
There's no way he would touch
Ethan
this.
Hawke would, though.
Ooh. Ethan Hawke would be really good.
Yeah, but he's been doing a lot of horror, so I'm like, I just want him to be too typecast.
Yeah. But
you know, you bring him in a horror movie and he just does magical things because he grounds it so much.
Yeah.
Oh, I hear he's phenomenal in the Black Phone.
Yeah. Horror's been really good for his resurgence. So.
Yes. Yes, it
Well,
has.
he looks like he's having a blast, honestly.
He's picking the right ones.
Yeah.
Not always, but most of the time.
Most of the time.
Hey, I still rewatch Sinister a lot. Like, that movie is incredible, and it's because of him.
Right.
The same with the Purge. Even though I'm not a big fan of the first movie, he sold it.
Was that him in Daybreak?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like Daybreak.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think he knows what he likes, and I think he elevates everything he's in. So
yeah, I thought he was half decent on I thought he was much better movie or TV show than Moon Knight actually was.
I would have to agree with you on that too.
Yeah. Well, hey, we could get his daughter to play Lori if we get him in on her.
That becomes creepy then. I mean, I know that they're not the couple, but...
Oh, yeah.
No.
Still. A little weird.
Oh, they're not the couple, but I mean, like, they'd still be, like, he could be like a fatherly figure to her. Come on. I mean, he is her dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then she's not some rando that survived. She's like his daughter, and he made sure she got on a boat.
Yeah. But ultimately, I think when it comes down to it, you need a really good visual designer for this thing. You want the boat to be a character unto itself. You want to have, I don't want anything as blatant as that pristine red room. That
was weird.
That was so strange, that Nazi room. Although I did kind of like when the film was playing and then they knocked down the camera and it's still playing.
Yeah, that I liked. I really liked that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the red room
was creepy to me.
Yeah, it was. And I mean, the red room was creepy, but it just felt too shrine-ish.
Yeah.
Right? Rather than propaganda-ish.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the ship should still have some of the trappings of the propaganda, but it's moved beyond the Nazis at this point.
Yeah.
It is something completely different, right? It started as a Nazi ship, but it's no longer that. It is something way, way beyond that now. So I think so you get this sort of hints of its origins, but
but we don't have to wait so long in the film for it to happen.
No.
Yeah.
It's an older type of evil. The Nazis just brought it forward.
Yeah. And I mean, you could even hint at it right away when you first see the bow of the ship, that it has like the Nazi
eroded.
Yeah, like it's just really faded. It's like really faded. Like you just barely see it, but it's there.
Yeah,
right? And like just little hints like that instead of in terms of its origins.
Yeah,
but,
and we do know like the Nazis experimented with the supernatural.
Yeah,
I mean they play that with Indiana Jones, but it's not something that's made up either.
No,
Hitler was a big believer in that kind of thing. So if they were doing some ritual sacrifice type stuff on that ship, raising something darker, that almost explains what this evil that's inhabited the ship came from.
And that's almost what I think they were trying to do with that red shrine room.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't clear.
No, it just looked like somebody's like fucked up fetish office.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, if we can sort of convert that room into like an altar room kind of thing where they were doing sacrifices and experiments on people, then that would make more sense.
Yeah, something much bigger.
Yeah.
I want it to be covered in symbols and like papers and books and like just what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
No, and again, that's where our Laurie character comes in, where she is your polyglot, right? Like she understands languages. She's like, well, this is in German and this is in Spanish. This is some language I've never seen before.
Yeah.
Right? Like she could be that person, right?
This is Sumerian or Aramaic or something.
Exactly. Right. She's like, I recognize the letters. I can't read it, but I recognize that this is an ancient language.
Yeah.
Like you could have that character, again, give these lead characters purpose throughout this terror.
Yeah. Utilize those skills other than go fetch clothes.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
And Nick running around without a shirt on for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
He goes down and he tries to work on the engine room.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's what he does is right. He's an engineer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He's not just a seaman.
That word, just never get tired of it being funny.
No.
Well, seaman knows how to smooth the gears.
No, that's vaginal lubrication. That's different.
Way to
nothing.
unsubtle it.
The semen does nothing. God, I had a point. Now it's gone. Oh, wait. You can also have it like kind of the clothes can also be a way of figuring it out too. Because I mean, she's just pulling it out, folded up.
Yeah.
And it's not until they put it on, they're like, yeah, these buttons are that's what's happened. This is a Nazi ship. This is some fucked up shit.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, the white crew necks that Marshall and his wife were wearing, I mean, I don't know that the Nazis wore that particular one. That's very British or American.
Well, even the captain, when he finds a new uniform, didn't really look. But I guess I don't know what Nazi naval would look like.
No,
anyway.
I don't either. But we have a certain expectation, and I don't think that met the expectation.
I just assumed I'd see a swastika or two.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but I guess
the crew neck is very Das Boot, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and I mean, you could even have a character. You could even have like the Jackie character. I'm not fucking wearing this.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You look like fucking Das Boot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, being like of Jewish descent, he would be like, no, there's no fucking way I'm putting this on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'd rather freeze to death.
Yeah.
No, I like that. Yeah, it's going to be a very creepy movie.
We talk about those ones where we talk about and we kind of rake them and it's like, oh, you know what? I do kind of want to see this movie now. This is one of those free now. I think that we've come up with some really interesting ideas that I wish we could see materialize somewhere.
Yeah, and who knows? I mean, as we've discussed, there have been other haunted boat movies over the years. Ghost Ship, of course, and the one, The Boat, that's Trish talked about, 31 Days of Horror. So somebody's going to come along and do something similar again. Is a remake out of the realm? You know what? I thought when I picked this that there was enough meat on the bones for us to do. It was one of those, oh man, this is a neat idea, but the rating's not so good. So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
IMDb gives this a 4.8 out of 10. Very mediocre, right in the middle.
Yeah, a little bit higher than I think it deserves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you think Rotten Tomatoes critics stood on this film?
Oh my.
38.
I was going to go 28, actually.
All right. Well, let's meet in the middle at 33%. Where do you think the audiences were?
Using my formula of IMDb, I'm going to say it's about a 44%.
All right.
I'm going to stick with my 38.
Okay, well, they were right in the same ballpark as the critics by liking it only 1% higher at 34%.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's more accurate as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. I don't know how much this did in the box office, but I can't imagine it played very long. I did not find a box office, but it did have a budget of $4.5 million.
Wow.
And we do know about some shortcuts they already took by reusing footage from other films.
Yes. Yeah, they did definitely do that. I mean, they did shoot in the Bahamas, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so that's probably where a large part of their budget went. I mean, and George Kennedy, while never a huge star, was still pretty bankable.
Yeah.
Right? I think that they were really relying on his name to bring audiences in, even though he was playing the bad guy.
Yeah,
you didn't know that, right?
Yeah, this is pre him teaming up with Leslie Nielsen on Naked Gun and Police Squad. So people weren't thinking of George Kennedy as the comedy guy yet.
I mean, this was just after he did Death on the Nile.
Yeah.
Right.
So he did Death on the Nile and Flight of the Phoenix a few years earlier. Oh, quite a few years earlier.
Quite a few years older. Yeah, his hair wasn't white yet.
Yeah, I think I was in the 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His hair went white really fast.
Yeah.
But
yeah, he was only 55 in this.
Yeah.
I would have put him much older.
Yeah. As would have I. But I knew he wasn't because, I mean, he was in movies in the late 80s where he looked exactly the same.
Yep.
He's one of those actors. There was another guy, he played an old guy in so many movies. He talked like this. And I don't know if he was ever a young man. Like, you know those actors who are like, I don't think you were ever a child.
Yeah, he played the uncle in Christmas Vacation. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He seemed to be that age for 50 years.
Yep. I feel like some guys are just born old.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we're coming up to 350 episodes here soon. And if you've been following us all this time, make sure you tell people. There's lots of people who still don't know we exist. After, going into getting close to 7 years now. So help us out. Get more earballs on the show by telling your friends and family and your neighbors, and wear a t-shirt and just get the word out to the world. And some of the ways you can do that is direct them to our social media at Invasion Remake on Twitter, Invasion of the Remake on Facebook and Instagram, and Invasion of the Remake at gmail.com if you want to send us your suggestions, your corrections, and your comments, and of course your fan challenges that could wind up being a future episode. If we like your suggestion, it could become a future episode. And you can suggest a fan challenge for something for us to remake, or you can say, hey, you haven't done this comparison yet, and we'll definitely add comparisons. Will automatically go on a list. They'll get to them when we get to them. But fan challenges are always, if they got a good hook, they're 20 years old or older, we'll definitely consider them. And we'll let you know if it's gets on a list and stuff. But be patient. Just because they say yes doesn't mean it's going to happen the next day. Mm-hmm. It's going to take a while. We got our own stuff we want to do and programming. But if you keep listening, there's a good chance you will hear that suggestion come up down the road. And another way you can find us is on our website,
invasionoftheremake.wixsite.com/podcast.
And over there is a big old button. And what do you do with buttons?
You press them.
That's right. You press them, and that'll take you to our TeePublic Store. And over at our TeePublic Store, you'll find t-shirts, mugs, posters, PPE, masks, totes, notebooks, magnets, stickers, and a whole lot more. We got lots and lots of designs over there, and if you buy something there, it'll help keep us free every single week like we have been for the last few years. So do something nice for yourself. Get yourself a nice t-shirt or something, and they're great. They're very comfortable. There's some great designs. Sam's done a great job at making some unique ones. And we've got some poster mashups there as well. So go check it out. Lots of cool stuff. Guarantee you'll find something you're going to want.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only place where you can get some of this stuff. And why not be that person where people stop you and say, hey, where'd you get that shirt?
That's right.
Yes.
Absolutely. And that happens often when I wear my own product.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, be the coolest guy on the block and say, hey, that's a cool shirt. Show some love. And don't forget to write a short rating and a review over on Apple Podcasts or wherever you consume your podcasts, and it helps get more people listening as well. You can do it over at Good Pods as well. We like Good Pods. They support independent podcasts like ours, and it's like social media for podcasts. So you can follow your favorite podcast there and interact with us. And Good Pods, great place to go and write a review over there. And for those of you who are already following us over on Good Pods, thank you, because you've helped us rank us quite a few times over there.
Yeah, we bounce on and off the charts quite a bit, but yeah, we're slowly creeping up those charts a little bit, which is nice.
Yes. So thank you for following us and all the reviews you're writing. We greatly appreciate it. Add your voice to the world and say, hey, this podcast is worth listening to. We certainly appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, next week we're going to be back with a comparison. Until then, I've been Jason.
I'm always Sam.
And I continue to be Trish.
And we are out of here.
Must have blood. Blood to survive. Blood. Your blood. And the blood of your wife. Blood of your wife. The blood of your children. Blood of your children. Blood of your children. Your wife. Children. Blood. Marshall. Must have blood. This ship needs blood. Marshall.